before, and I didn't know his reputation. All I knew is what I saw was this, kid was really into rock and roll, and he lived it. And well, this is hard. This is because I don't want to. I don't want to sound mean-spirited, and I don't want to sound cruel. But I feel like I have an obligation to tell what really happened and what my relationship was like with him. And I know he has a wife and he has children that are going to see this. It's not my intention to be rude or hurtful in telling what happened, because I think I don't think Johnny should be. I don't think that kind of being like that, like a black hole that sucks in energy and uses everyone around you. I don't think that should necessarily be romanticized. I think you have to be responsible for what you do and what you say. And Johnny wasn't anything if he wasn't responsible. I mean, he was very self-centered, shrewd.
Johnny Thunders is an influential guitarist in the 70s. Was found dead in a rooming house in New Orleans. The cause of death has been determined, but whose given name was John Genzale. His slashing guitar style had a real style that extended to how he looked, how he lived, and he played.
When I first heard about my dad's death, I didn't know who he was, and I heard my mom yelling on the phone, and she hung up. And I says, "What was that all about?" And she said, "Nothing." And I says, "What was that all about?" And she said, "Nothing." I says, "Come on, tell me." And she says, "Nothing. I wasn't yelling about nothing." I says, "If you're talking to someone like that, something had to have been wrong if you're swearing that loud." She said, "Your dad died." And I says, "What?" And she says, "Your dad died." And I said, "Why didn't you ever tell me about my dad when I asked you to call him and stuff?" And she says, "Because he did drugs and he used to beat me up and all this time, and he's not a good man I want around you."
That's a nice color, that shit.
I just heard a few nights later, like 4 or 5 nights later, that some guy died, in the St. Peter house, and I didn't know it was somebody famous, I heard there was someone told me that it might have been a murder or something like that.
This is New Orleans, baby! That's us! Look at that! We are family. This is ham and turkey and everything you can drink for $3. This song you just like this is when you're walking on the street. This song when you're trying to keep your seat. This song when you're walking on the floor.
What do you know about what happened to John?
Oh, we're gonna do this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is gonna be the last time I'm gonna say this. Me and Chuck were sitting over there, right there on the doorstep behind that car. All of a sudden, the police pulled up. I said, "What the hell's going on here?" I was playing guitar, we were hanging out. And, it was funny because Chuck said, "You watch, the coroner's office is going to pull up next." coroner's office pulled up, and I thought, man, must be some old John, some old, maybe a politician, you never know, who went up there, got laid, and died in the middle of it all. You know, had a heart attack. So we were laughing about it. All of a sudden, the plastic bag came out, and I didn't see him when he got in town. I didn't see him at all, other than the time he came out in the plastic bag. And we're saying, God, man, that guy must have died a horrible death. He was bent like a pretzel, like this. And it was real sad. I said, man. And then all of a sudden, the manager of the hotel came out and said, hey, did you send that guy to my hotel? And no, what are you talking about? I said, well, I know because you're from New York, and because sometimes I'll put people in there, managers and whatever agents come down. I put them in the hotel right next to my house. So yeah, you put that guy in my hotel? I said, no, what are you talking about? He said, oh, he's some rock star from New York. His name is Johnny Thunders.
2 days later, my mom says, you have an aunt that lives in New York? And I says, I do. And then I says, can I talk to my aunt one day? And she says, yeah, you can call her in a few days. So 2 days went by, and then my mom called her, and I talked to my aunt for the first time, and when we were talking, she says, maybe you could come down and visit sometime. And I said, yeah, maybe. And then when I got off the phone with her, I asked my mom, I said, Mom, can I go down and visit my aunt sometime? She said, yeah, I'll let you go down sometime, maybe this summer or something. So, the summer came, and I came down to visit. She said, I can come down and visit. I saw all my cousins, and all my grandmother and my uncle for the first time.
You don't stop, man. It's almost like...
I went downstairs, and my cousin Danny said, you want to see your dad? And I said, yeah. Because I never saw a picture of him. And then he showed me some pictures. He says, here, you want this picture? And I said, yeah, sure. And started giving me pictures. And saying, yeah, your dad played with these guys. And then he started giving me more pictures, and my aunt gave me a shirt of my dad. And she was telling me stuff about my dad.
Johnny lived here for quite a while, off and on. Whenever he had no place else to go, he'd come here. He'd pull up in a cab. Say, I'm here. And stay. Well, he never had any set routine. He would just come and stay. Stay for weeks at a time, sometimes just for a couple of days. And then he'd leave. He knew there was always someplace for him to go.
And he said, you want to listen to music? I said, yeah. And I liked it.
It used to be a porno house on 42nd between 6th and 7th. It's not there anymore. It was an old movie house. This is about 10 years ago. Johnny was practicing one night for something. I have no idea what the hell it was about. He had no idea that I was there. I'm sitting there looking at a porno movie at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I see all these people going in and out with guitars, drums, instruments, and what the fuck, And who the hell walks by me but Johnny, and I recognize him because of his fucking hair. Johnny? Call him. Johnny? Oh shit, Russ, what are you doing here? What's the matter, Russ? I said, I'm not doing that. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, they rent this place downstairs. We can fucking practice here. What the fuck are you doing here? Say hi.
Maybe you want to come with us to the country. For... Oh, your daughter finally went in the pool, Jerry.
Oh, she's got it. There's water. She's going in. So, Jerry, how long have you known Johnny? I knew Johnny before I knew him. You know what I mean? And I got to know him about 8-10 years ago. I got close to him. I had a tragedy in my family. I lost my wife, and Johnny was there, and we got closer. You know, and I realize now how much he helped me through that. You know, without even realizing it then. And we got closer. You know.
So what did you find out about, you said there's some newspaper articles written lately? How about this? You know about this. So what happened? Tell me.
Well, there were articles that are still being written. Up in 2-3 weeks ago, there were articles written about the incident. It was about, I think it was more about the incident and anything, you know, the ongoing. There must be some kind of investigation going on.
That's what they
For them to continue to write articles.
Well, who said they had an article?
My sister-in-law lives down there.
Did she send it to you?
No, she's got it. I said, hold on to it. She got the
She read it
articles.
to you? She read it to you over the phone?
Yeah, no, she didn't read it to me. She just told me that she had the articles. I told her, hold on to
Did
it.
they say anything in the article about an investigation going on?
Basically what happened, and they're looking into more. There's more things that keep coming up.
They want to figure out where he was just to push it over because, you know, just to push it off as an OD and that's it, you know?
Well, there's things that are unsettled. They have to be settled. We have to find out, you know.
What happened with you or the situation with you down there?
With the police?
Yeah.
They just keep hanging up on me. They keep telling me they don't know if I'm Johnny's sister. It's none of my business. They just don't care.
It's not right. They figure this guy comes from New York and just because you had a background doing drugs.
Well, that's part of it. That's what it
They
is.
turn around and just drop it and say, fuck it.
Plus, you're dealing with the South, you know, guys from New York.
It's it. It really
They
is.
also know how time tends to.
Yeah, they figure we'll push it off and sweep it under the carpet and that'll be the end of it.
Well, we're not going to be able to.
But we're not letting it go.
What do you think happened down there? What do you just think?
I really don't know what happened. It's not adding up right. There was some kind of foul play. What exactly, I don't know. I don't know if he was robbed before he died, after he died. There's these two shady characters. They keep coming up in different places with different stories about him. He had a lot of stuff, and it's all missing. So this is what we want to know. We want to know exactly what happened.
A friend of mine called me up one morning and said, "Did you read the paper?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Pick it up." And I was fucking shocked. Now, not only that he died, but he was here and I hadn't heard from him, And, I didn't even know he was coming. Really. So I called Willie DeVille. And I said, "Man, what the fuck happened, man?" He said, "Oh, it's a bad scene." He said he got in town last night. And I said, "He's dead this morning?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what it was?" He said, "No, not yet." He said, "They're not talking." God gave out ears. God was good to you and Dixie Doodle. That's my noodle made from black cherry strudel.
You're so cute.
That's nice. She's become quite a pop star. Oh, did you see her in the... What's that magazine? Here. Did you see this book?
Yeah.
Johnny's in here. Careful now. Okay, let's see what we got here. Right here, man.
The house is so big you lose people.
Alright, wait a
See
minute.
upstairs? Yeah, I went up in the bathroom.
She didn't see the bedroom, she just saw the workroom.
Yeah.
My workroom. He didn't see
Did
the
you meet
guest
my
room.
children?
He didn't see the bedroom.
Did you meet my children?
Who's this?
This is Puccini.
Okay, let me find
Colada.
This is a miniature Pomeranian?
No, it's regular.
Regular?
Damn,
This is a
I'm trying to
Pekingese
find
smooth
it here.
colada. Dude, and that's Dixie Belle. And that's Puss Puss. Puss, no! Puss!
Uh-oh, that's what my cat does.
And then we have two other cats and two bunnies. Our air conditioning's broke, otherwise we wouldn't be so hot. I know. Where are you going?
Trying to find it
You
here.
like her, huh, Puccini?
Poor son of a bitch. You know what's kind of strange about this photo? Is the one eye that's open. See the one eye looking at you? Go on, looking at you.
Like her,
You ever seen the one of, you ever one of Jesus?
We take them on the road.
You know, what's it called? You know where the eyes kind of go down? What's it called? It's like, I can't think of the name of it. But it's kind of strange.
Yeah, we have a tour
This
bus.
guy is a
It's on the
great,
bus.
well, yes, you
And on
know,
the plane, they
great
come inside with us and go on
It's
the
Johnny?
street.
Huh?
They
It's
walk.
Johnny? Yeah.
We allow 2 dogs per plane.
We got people in the back. Do we hear 425? 425, anybody for this picture? 5? 1,000? $1,000. Woo! Are you for real? You mean it? All right. $1,000 for this picture. Going once. Going twice. Anybody? 1,100. Woo! She means it. She's serious. 1,100.
Maybe we're gonna start a war here. I think she's saying 1,500. We got 1,500 up here. Johnny Thunders by Bob Bruin, $1,500.
1,500. 1,500 once.
She looks like she means it.
Yeah.
Anybody else? 1,500. That's great.
1,500 twice. All right, $1,500 to the lady in the balcony. Thank you. See this man in the red shirt, okay? See this man in the red shirt.
I hear that the chick who bought the picture was a dominatrix, and she made her slave buy the picture for her. And then they gave the picture to Roger. So she must have whipped him up a little bit, and maybe he had a dogfish bowl that night.
But I heard the guy beat it, though. He disappeared.
Well, maybe he, I don't know. I guess he was a little pissed off. Maybe he wasn't so dominant. Maybe not for $1,500 anyway.
$1,500? No, I mean, he must have.
It's a lot of ass whipping.
Willie DeVille! Willie DeVille! No one's allowed in my room on Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Sylvester Chambers, Brenda Lee. Barbara George. Barbara George. Barbara George. Can't to be high all the time. I've been loaded. All right, out of my mind. Yes. Boom. First time I met him, he was wearing them funny platform shoes, and he had that funny hairdo and stuff. All of a sudden, across the street, here he comes in a pink and black leather jacket with his hair all cut back, short. I said, hey man, you look like you got a haircut. I said, hey, I'm back. How you doing?
That hotel is not a hotel that people go stay in. It's not a real popular hotel.
If I came off the road, if I came off the road, I'd check into the Hyatt or some, if you have money, you're going to check into the biggest hotel,
Or
right?
even a more well-known one.
Or Royal Orleans or something bigger,
Cab driver
I got
brought
some
him
money.
Where did you find out about the hotel?
I don't know. Cab
No shit.
driver.
That's why I asked
I mean,
my
this
cab
is
driver.
fake.
He heard
It's
about
weird.
it.
Yeah.
Cab driver just took him
It's the
there.
weirdest thing.
See, the cab driver said he was so loaded
That he dropped them off
that
there
he
and
kind
said,
of wanted to. He went inside the hotel and said, "Take this man."
take this guy. I don't know. He's messing with my mind. I don't know. Take care of him. And, so,
He didn't want to tell us.
the cab driver kind of, in a sense, just let him off there.
Right
Which is
there.
strange because it was right next door to me.
Oh, yum. This is where he was sitting, and that's the room he was in when he was staying.
Hey, what are you talking for?
Calm down, mister.
You like baseball? The Boston Red Sox looked at Johnny when he was 13 years old. Yeah, they look at him that age. They went to his mother. And asked for permission to talk to him. She said no. She was afraid. He was only 13. No, that's when they do it. That's why I'm surprised he was never a drummer. Well, maybe that's what made him so good with the guitar, because his fingers were so good. He had great hands. He was a natural. He was a natural ball player. He really liked it. He was very good at it, too.
Johnny went to Catholic school. He didn't like school. He went because he had to go. And never used to like to do homework or anything. Got himself in trouble with the nuns all the time for not listening. So what they used to do to punish him was make him stay in at lunchtime and go to the convent and pray during lunch as a punishment because he didn't do his homework or he didn't do his classwork or he was cutting up in class. They used to punish him that way. The nuns in those days were very strict, so you listened or else. That's where Johnny started playing ball with Our Lady of Fatima. He used to play for the Little League there, the Elm Jack League. The only thing is, to be part of the league, your father had to participate, and he didn't have a father to participate. My father didn't want to be bothered.
So how important was baseball to Johnny?
He loved it like he loved his music. He really did. But then he had a father and son thing to go to. And his father didn't take him. And I think that's what got him off altogether. Yeah.
What do you mean?
He got very upset over that. You know? Because all the other kids were going with their fathers.
And his father wouldn't take him?
No. He used to come and see them for 2 minutes and then leave. But he never really sat down with them or played with them or anything.
And that's the tailor shop my mother worked in, right here.
Yeah. Anything John wanted, I got him. when we lived in the house before this one on 83rd Street, East Elmhurst, and he was about 13 or 14, and he didn't know what to do with himself, I put him in the country club, the Jackson Heights Country Club. And he used to go there after school and during the summer to the pool. Yeah. But Marianne wasn't a member, just him, because he was the baby. I mean, we gave him everything we could think of giving him, you know?
Oh, yes, he had everything.
Yeah.
You always, they always for the best in you.
Yeah. And then he went to Newtown High School, didn't like that, so I sent him to a private high school. But he goofed off. He didn't want to go. He just didn't want to go to school. Yeah. And
he just lived for his guitar and his music.
Yes, and he started just
That's
to lift
it.
his guitar and his music, and that was it. Yeah.
And he was good at it. He
Yeah.
was, even then, he was good at it. Even if the guitar was such a really old-looking thing,
Yeah.
I remember. But he used to keep it shining and whatnot, you know? It was always nice and neat. In his room. I never went in his room. I never got to go in his room.
It wasn't a mess.
No, I mean, it's
It
just that
wasn't.
he
didn't keep
he
it messy.
wanted his privacy,
Yeah.
and we gave it to him.
Yeah.
We never bothered him.
And here's the pictures I have if you want to see them.
So talk about the various pictures, okay?
Well, this one, it was a birthday party. It was a party of some kind. I don't know which one it was. And Johnny's playing the drums in this picture, if you want to. Okay? And this is my mother and father. This is Margie's sister, and Johnny's grandmother and grandfather. And this was Johnny's christening day. He's with, I'm holding him, and his father is there, and Marianne. There's another one of Johnny and Marianne were young. I'd say Johnny was about 4, the next Marianne about 10.
That's the house we used to live in.
So this is where they lived?
It's the kitchen. Yes. It's the kitchen. Well, I didn't know you had it set up right like that, chip table, right? Yeah, okay. And this is the living room. And she had big drapes up there. She really had this lovely. She made everything. She was very handy. And then I guess the bedroom, I guess, I don't know how they worked that.
Did they all sleep in the same room?
I'm not sure whether they did or not. Or whether they had a couch and let him on the couch. But he was only a kid then too, so maybe they all bumped in together. And probably a pull-out bed or something.
Here's one more picture of Johnny in front of my mother's house. He's the one on this side. No, I can't think of anything else, can you?
Well, I think he was very, very sad when your mother was sick, so sick, you know.
Yeah.
And he used to always worry, go up and down, and that's all he used to talk about was his grandma, But she was very good to him. She was very close. And she was a very, very sick woman. And until she died, he was always so sad.
Well, after she died is when he changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. After my mother died is when he changed.
Yeah, because he used to listen to her.
Yeah.
And she would call.
Yeah.
When you say he would change, tell me what you mean.
We lost him then. That's when he went away after my mother died. And we never saw too much of John after that. He would call, but he wasn't home. You know, he was like on his own.
Who are they? The two guys were in the room next door. And the cop told me, hey, if you see these two guys, call me immediately so I can question them. Wow. Then they busted them a couple of nights later for I don't know what. I heard rumors from up north that they had found something on them. Again, though, I was sitting out on the stoop just 4 or 5 nights ago. I ran into one of them. So apparently they're back out.
First, we were staying in a motel room on Allen Highway. Then we moved to the quarters. We stayed on the St. Peter's guest house. We got a bedroom up in there. First night we were up in there, we got a 1-bedroom. We were just up in the neighborhood partying where everybody goes in the French quarters, you know, that runaway, a place where they go stay with faggots or whatever they want to stay with. They make money, they do their dope if they choose to. We just, you know, party in the neighborhood, doing what we, you know, were doing then, getting money, partying, doing drugs, whatever. You know, going to the bar rooms, hanging out. It's just, it ain't a nice place to be up in, you know. The area is not good. There's nothing about it good. It's New Orleans, I guess. And then, you know, we were staying at the St. Peter's guest house, and we met Johnny. My brother really met him first.
The first day I met Johnny was in the evening time. I didn't personally meet him. We had just come back from having donuts and coffee at Cafe Du Monde. And as I was walking past the hotel room, they got an air conditioning unit there, and they also have a window right there. And I observed him looking out the window, and I noticed, you know, that's my, you know, room in that hallway. And when I noticed him, he looked obvious. He looked white. He looked pale, real pale. And he stood in the window for at least 20 to 30 minutes because I stood outside, maybe alone. I really wasn't looking at my watch or anything. But he did look paranoid. He did look, you know, out of the ordinary. So I went inside, and as I was walking through the door, I met Johnny right there. And he told me that he was a musician and he played the guitar. At first, I didn't really think he was popular or famous, but he showed me I don't know if it was a magazine or not, but he did have his picture in it, and that's when I went to start to believe in him, that he was a musician.
When I first met him, it was like, you know, Keith Richards, Rod Stewart, and Elvis Presley walked in the room wrapped in front of him. And there was this guy, he was about, 4 feet tall, except he had on these platform shoes this big, with hair about another foot on top of his head, his black hair, he looked kind of like a rooster. And then I took off for about 6 months later. I left for Europe in 1971. And eventually I went back to New York, and everyone was talking about this group, the New York Dolls. The Dolls came on about like 3 in the morning, and it was just pandemonium. And I saw this guy there, and I said, holy shit, this is Johnny Thunders.
Are you squawking on? Come on, give me some of love. Yeah, Chatterbox. I call you up. Don't give me no line. I'm coming in your home on the Chatterbox line.
Make one part of his lip go up like Elvis used to.
All used up. I got nowhere to go. Feels like a quiet night on the telephone. My little chatterbox. Are you talking on?
He had on a purple shirt. I don't know if it was rayon or silk. When we talked, we conversated. Drugs came across his mind that, you know, he partied and everything. And obvious, I could see that he did party because I did see syringes on the bed and I did see him on a dresser.
One incident about the dolls that I can remember was Halloween.
Later on this evening, we're going to invite in all our vampire friends, all our nasty politician friends, all the ghouls and the witches and the goblins that are going to come down here to the New York Dolls party tonight. Hey, it's going to be a gas, baby. Get yourself together. The downstairs is real crowded. They're just starting to let the crowd in right now.
History is being made in the grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel tonight. For the first time that anybody really can remember, a rock Halloween party is being held here. As you can see, the guest list appears to be quite unique, as are the hosts of this Halloween party. I'm speaking of the unique group of young men known as the New York Dolls.
When the New York Dolls started, like maybe 6 months before they were playing, like I think the musicians like that hung out in New York were like very into fashion, you know, like it was a competitive thing, and the Dolls had the look down the best. Johnny Thunders looked great. He had the best hairstyle.
Hey, Johnny, I think you should.
And then they had like stuff that other people wouldn't really think of putting in with that. Like they'd wear their girlfriend's clothes, you know. They get clothes anywhere. They would wear like shoes like this, like, you know, tennis shoes, but they'd have big platforms on, and I don't even think they were denim.
These beautiful, almost marshmallow shoes, claim to be owned once by Johnny Thunders. Legend has it that he wore these very shoes in the New York Dolls.
Now this was, as far as I know, the very first photo session of the New York Dolls.
Somebody in England, I don't know exactly where, but came up with this tour, and we were supposed to go to play with Rod Stewart at Wembley Pool.
One of the original New York Dolls, Sylvain!
And we went to this really incredible party. Liberace was there, and Sal Mineo. Some of the guys in The Who were there, and you know, and we get a call, and they said, hey, you guys better come over, because I think Billy's is about to OD. We get dressed real quick, you know. We get in the cab, we go to the place, right? Johnny was the first one to get there. And I remember Johnny comes running up to me and he says, Sylvain, don't even go up there.
That, of course, is Billy Dahl, who was the first drummer for the Dolls, who was an intensely fabulous drummer and great guy, and
never knew what he missed because he went straight to London and died.
In about a week or so, we were like incredibly famous.
They call themselves the New York Dolls. The music is rough, not polished. The lyrics are shouted, not sung. It's always belligerent, hostile, and deafeningly loud. The Dolls are a social phenomenon. In the city, they sell out wherever they play. They're in their late teens and early 20s. So is their audience. This is a new generation and a new music. And they're not playing for us. They're playing for their audience, people under 20. So whether we like them isn't important. It is important, though, to know they're out there. Jim?
Each time it seems to get crazier and crazier. Where does it stop?
I don't know. Probably some kind of extreme violence. There was an act at Max's Kansas City a few weeks ago, Iggy Pop is his name, who cut himself on stage and ended up with 16 stitches.
I had a feeling tonight a lot of people will right.
If you don't have reservations, please wait outside.
Why should we wait down here and the only spot we do? That's your fault. We call twice during the week. How many times do I have to call? I call twice.
It's all yours.
Yes.
Want to go to bed?
One of my most precious memories of Max's Kansas City is sitting there one night having a cheeseburger. And I had grown my bosoms, and they had just been growing, and they were a bit pointed, and I was wearing these tight sweaters, which I should not have been wearing. And Johnny came up to me, and he said, "Wayne, I don't care if you've got pointed tits. I love you anyway."
Anyway, here it is. I did this for a magazine called the New York Rocker, and they needed to have something that would get people to look at their magazine, and so they said, "Will you do the centerfold? We don't care what it is." So I decided, because the scene was extremely fabulous then in New York, in the rock and roll world, so I decided I would do a collage of people that you might run into on any given night in Max's Kansas City. Any of them you might run into. And so therefore it's a mixture. It's a mixture of very, very famous people like Elvis Presley and Mick Jagger, but also mixed with the new bands like Debbie Harry from Blondie, David Johansen, Divine, the great and fabulous Danny Fields.
This picture, I mean, you think nothing unusual about guys in drag and lipstick and high heels, but back then, believe it or not, this was thought of as revolutionary.
Robert Mapplethorpe, you know, Ron Ashton from the Stooges, the fabulous drag queen ballerina Katerina Sabayanskaya, you know, there's Sylvain Sylvain.
Can't wait till they didn't oh, come on, Jerry. Like, think of the cover. I mean, like, ridiculous.
David Bailey, Jimmy Page, Salvador Dali, Leslie Gore. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. Patti Smith in a pink wig. Fat John Lennon. And number 98. People guessed Nico. People guessed Marianne Faithfull, who is in fact number 57. People guessed all kinds of things. It's a mannequin from the store window. Anyway, yes, this is it. This is the 160 fabulous faces that I did at that time. Oh, and Johnny. Johnny, of course. Johnny.
When I first met him, man, like in 70s, first New York Dolls tour of America, he asked me if I was, he said, "Are you from New Orleans?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you score?" And, I said, "Well, what are you looking for?" And he said, "Heroin." I said, "Yeah, I can get something." I wasn't hooked up real bad, but I was using at the time. So I went and got something, and, it was, for people in New Orleans, it was decent for us. We were used to it. And he got as fucked up as I did on the stuff. But, the next time I saw him, like I said, the first time I went to New York, he made the deal in a gangplank. Went back to the hotel, and Jesus Christ, that was some strong shit. We got high off that one package for a week.
I remember hearing that he was getting high on dope, and, it scared me because, I knew he was afraid of needles, and he'd always say, "I'm never going to do needles, never, no way." And he'd been doing a lot of downs before that. And, downs are scary, you can't cold turkey on downs. So now he was playing with dope and still doing downs sometimes. It scared me. And the fact that I knew he wouldn't do a needle himself meant that he was kind of putting his hands in somebody else. So I think probably for like the first year when I heard he was doing dope, every time I saw him get high, someone else was shooting him up. And I never realized once Johnny would learn how to do it himself, that it would become even scary, because once he learned how to do it himself, then he would really do anything.
I suspected Johnny doing drugs when he was still home with my mother. I knew he was smoking pot. And anybody that knows me knows I am dead set against drugs. I had a feeling he was, but he wouldn't admit it. He wasn't about to tell me, yeah, I was right. When he moved out, we noticed changes in him, and I know his drug problem was getting worse and worse. I heard stories, which Johnny would never tell me straight out, that it really started getting really serious after the Dolls started taking off and making money.
I remember taking LSD with Johnny one time, and we were so out of it, we forgot where we were. We thought we had gotten to Hollywood. Johnny kept saying, "I know we're going to get to Hollywood soon, Steve. We got it. Once we get to Hollywood, I'm going to be a big star. Just stick with me. We're going to become stars,
Does the Hollywood show, folks?
Yeah.
Does the sign show? Oh, you didn't get the sign in, honey. Okay. Can we all look at one thing and let's everybody stick this out? Yay! Stick it out, baby. Yay, yay. Hey. You didn't get the cheek, baby.
Slap some five, boys. Slap some five.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, slap some five.
Oh, yeah.
No, stay there.
Give us some skin.
I'm trying to get down a little bit. Right, that's good.
Hollywood.
We get to the airport. Star Magazine girls in live now. Here they are, live. There's Sable Star. There's, this one, that one. I forget their names, but Sable, she was the queen. She gives them a nice little time. and they're married. You know, that's the way it was. Those two were a couple before they actually met.
I call it square, right? Circulation like this one. I got to do it, guys. We're going to cheer it all by yourself.
We were up in Canada. We were coming back, and Johnny, you know, smuggled in like an ounce of speed or whatever, you know. Which, first of all, if we would have gotten busted for that, it would have been hot times, you know. Johnny calls me up. You know, I said, "Hey, Salim, man, I gotta come over, man. I gotta talk to you, man. You know, man, something real bad, man. The cops said, man, they've been chasing me, la la la, and all this kind of stuff is going on, you know." So he comes over. And Marianne calls me up, Johnny's sister, and she says, "Salim, I'm really worried about Johnny. He was just here and everything, and he's like really running around, and what's wrong with him? What did he take? What did he do?" I said to her, "Don't worry, I'll take care of him because he just called me. He's going to come over my house." So I'm calling up some of my friends, whatever. "Hey, man, I got to get Johnny a couple of downs, you know, please, la la la." And he's going on and on. He's talking to himself. He's underneath my you know, he's next to the bicycles. He's making believe he's fixing the bicycles as he's looking for the CIA. He was gone. He was fucking gone.
We get to Paris, and we went through the different customs and everything, and we were then on this promenade walking towards these escalators that would lead us down. And then on the bottom of the escalators were the press. It was like the furthest or closest they could get in the airport at that point. When Johnny Thunders threw up all the way down on the elevator as they're... Yeah, it was like unbelievable.
So they play the Olympia, they play this special show for the radio, RTL. And the last show was the Bataclan.
Which was this hall outside of Paris that I think was supposed to hold 1,500 people. 6,000 people showed up. And they squeezed 3,000 in and turned 3,000 away.
So the concert started, it was packed up, sold out and everything, people were there. And after 3 numbers, there was some kids up front who were like situationists. And they start splitting, So Johnny did not like him, did not like it at all. So he just take his guitar and start you know, fighting with the guys in the audience.
I remember one day him telling me that they split up. He had a fight with the band, and he wasn't with the Dolls anymore. And at the time, he was starting the Heartbreakers. But he was with Jerry, and him and Jerry, he didn't even give me the name at the time. He just said him and Jerry were starting another band.
Elvis Presley comes on the radio, and he's doing Heartbreaks Hotel. And then I turned around to Johnny and Jerry. This was like a week before we broke up. And I said to him, hey, Heartbreakers, that would be a great name for a band.
Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers are the best punk rock band ever lived. Right here, man. That is what it's all about. Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers caught what punk rock was all about. The way he spoke, the way he fucking lived, that was what punk rock was all about.
So here we are, we're getting ready to do our first gig in, I guess it was July of 75, yeah. I just joined the band. We had to get, this first gig was coming up at CBGB's for this summer festival. At the same time, I'm working at the Food and Drug Administration, and I had wound up with a bottle of, it was like an 8-ounce bottle of pure Quaalude powder. So I didn't really take those things at the time, but I told John and Jerry about it. I said, oh yeah, you know anyone who wants to buy any, Quaalude powder? And their eyes almost popped out of their head. Oh yeah, bring it down to rehearsal, so we'll get rid of it for you. So I brought it down and we gave it, I gave a little thing and some tissue to each of them. They swallowed it because it was powder. He couldn't eat it like a pill. John pulls me aside, of course, if anyone knows that, and says, give me the bottles. I'll take it home and I'll get you the money for this. How much you want? Like $50, $100? I said, oh yeah, John, $50 is fine, good. This was before he cut his hair. He still had, the rat's nest down to his shoulders with all the shit sticking up in the air. So the next day we get a call from John, or I get a call from one of the guys saying like, can I go pick up John at his mother's house in Queens because he's all fucked up. He's like that. So I said, what happened? Well, apparently he had started taking the Quaalude powder and got into a fight with his brother-in-law, and he beat the shit out of him, and he flushed the powder down the toilet, one like that. And John's face looks like he's got bubbles in every direction, like Night of the Living Dead, and he's got lumps, because his brother-in-law beat the shit out of him. His brother-in-law was like a truck driver; he could kill anyone.
Did you guys ever have any fights, any tough times? Did you ever try to straighten them out?
Yeah, once. He was with Julie over the house, and Vito wasn't born yet. She was pregnant with Vito, I think, if I remember right. And Johnny was getting fucked up and he was getting nasty. One word led to another, and I whacked the shit out of him, which made me feel pretty terrible the next day, because I was about 40 pounds bigger than him, and I really didn't have to do it. But sometimes you lose your temper and you don't know what you're doing with yourself.
You want to talk about the wedding?
Johnny really loved Julie. When he first started dating her, she was already pregnant. And I think he really liked the idea of that he was going to have a kid and that he was taking care of somebody. Or, on the other hand, and or it might have just been his way to control Julie. The more kids she had, the more she couldn't go out, and she would be in a place where he knew he had a woman that was waiting for him, taking care of his kids. He really controlled and limited the things that Julie could do. And there's a lot of things that she wasn't allowed to do. She wasn't allowed to wear high heels. He was only allowed to have certain friends that were friends of Johnny's, and they were only people that he could control. So, it just might have been this dream of having a family and having kids and wanting sons and wanting to be like him. He's always talking about the first one would be a drummer. Of course, drummers are so hard to find, and the second would be a bass player, and so they were going to be his dream band. And I think he saw himself as someone that would be able to teach them things, and thinking that would be fun. But like I said, maybe at the same time, it was just a way for him to have a girl that was set in some place. She was going to be a mother. She would stay home with the kids, and a way to make him feel like a man.
John didn't cut his hair until he got to fucking England. And finally, a couple of times in England, they cut it so short, it was like, it looked like he was 12 years old. It was like, you can see the skin on the sides of his head, and it was just, it was like sort of curling back on the top, but it was, that was too short. It didn't look good on John. It made him look too, too innocent.
Hello, David. How are you?
We have now with us. Hello, John.
Fancy meeting you here.
Would you like a cocktail?
Oh,
we have with us the fabulous Johnny Thunders of the notorious Heartbreakers. Catch them while they're still alive, etc., etc. And we'd like to ask him why he's here tonight at the fabulous CBGB's.
I got a cousin that's in the screws.
Can I just interrupt
Of
you
course.
for a second?
Oh, right.
The two of you used to be in a band together. Are you still friends? No,
Of course.
And I always felt like he always looked at David to be his friend. He always wanted that friendship from David. And sometimes they could, things happen when you're a family, when you're in a band, when you become as big as we did. He always looked for that fatherly image.
We'd like to ask you a few questions about your upcoming European tour. It sounds very exciting. Could you give us a few details on that?
We're going to go on tour with a band called the Sex Pistols and the Damned. We're going to do all of England, all over the small cities, Liverpool, Manchester, etc., etc., etc.
And how about the larger cities like London?
Yeah,
and,
Manchester, London, Paris. We're going to hit all of them.
I see. And can you tell us something about these bands that you'll be touring with?
I think they're real cute. That's all I know about them. Really,
I haven't heard.
I've seen their pictures.
When I went overseas to do the Heartbreakers thing, he wanted me to come with him to be a bodyguard on a tour. We're going to get me a gun permit and a whole schmear, and I was going to go bodyguard for them. And
cut.
His sister, my wife, said, absolutely not.
Hey,
you
baby.
ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I guess she figured one male out of the family at a time running around Europe was enough.
This one's called...
The phone rang, and it was Johnny, and he said, will you manage the new Heartbreakers? He didn't ask me what I was doing or if I had
before, and I didn't know his reputation. All I knew is what I saw was this, kid was really into rock and roll, and he lived it. And well, this is hard. This is because I don't want to sound mean-spirited, and I don't want to sound cruel. But I feel like I have an obligation to tell what really happened. before, and I didn't know his reputation. All I knew is what I saw was this, kid was really into rock and roll, and he lived it. And well, this is hard. This is because I don't want to sound mean-spirited, and I don't want to sound cruel. But I feel like I have an obligation to tell what really happened and what my relationship was like with him. And I know he has a wife and he has children that are going to see this. It's not my intention to be rude or hurtful in telling what happened, because I think I don't think Johnny should be. I don't think that kind of being like that, like a black hole that sucks in energy and uses everyone around you. I don't think that should necessarily be romanticized. I think you have to be responsible for what you do and what you say. And Johnny wasn't anything if he wasn't responsible. I mean, he just. He was very self-centered, shrewd.
Johnny Thunders is an influential guitarist in the 70s. Was found dead in a rooming house in New Orleans. The cause of death hasn't been determined, but whose given name was John Genzale. His slashing guitar style had a real style that extended to how he looked, how he lived, and he played.
When I first heard about my dad's death, I didn't know who he was, and I heard my mom yelling on the phone, and she hung up. And I says, what was that all about? And she said, nothing. And I says, what was that all about? And she said, nothing. I says, come on, tell me. And she says, nothing. I wasn't yelling about nothing. I says, if you're talking to someone like that, something had to have been wrong if you're swearing that loud. She says, your dad died. And I says, what? And she says, your dad died. And then I says, why didn't you ever tell me about my dad when I asked you to call him and stuff? And she says, because he did drugs and he used to beat me up and all this time, and he's not a good man I want around you.
Johnny was in the doorway of his room, and Mike was standing in the hallway talking to him, and Stacy was behind him. And I walked to the room because I went to the store and I dropped the stuff and I eased back out, and I was talking to him, introduced myself. And then later on, we had all got together and we had some money. When Stacy come back, had some money, we ran into him and, we went drinking.
And Stacy went out to make some money.
Yeah,
right?
she wanted to make some money.
So describe how that went down, okay?
She come back, gave him the money, and we all went out on it,
She went out to do what? I mean, can you tell us what she...
what she went to do?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, her description, I don't know, she went out to make money by getting, blowjobs.
Yeah, my girlfriend, she was just like, she wouldn't know what to think about him at first, she thought he was funny, and then she come back and says, he's on drugs, did you see all the needles in that? And at that time, we was working on a baby and stuff, and she said, stay away, because of the drugs paraphernalia that was laying around in there.
Oh, you fucking old bird, motherfucker. Don't the fuck you dare to grab your fucking naked fucking high heel fucking asshole shoes, man. Fucking have a good time and get the fuck out. We got your $10 already. We don't give a fuck. Let somebody, man. Let the kid just run. Let him have a good time. Let him fucking dance. Will you fucking...
He was in the bathroom for a long time, and I said, look, I'm really embarrassed, I admire you, and I never thought you'd come over here and see, I don't even know where to start cleaning this place up. And he just kind of laughed and said, well, because he always had that fast line, he goes, well, you should start with your bathroom. And then after he left, I kind of knew why. And I saved the needles as souvenirs and stuff, but it was just... Well, no, I don't know what to say about this. I thought it's like this museum piece or something, because it's like Johnny's actual needle.
what we were trying to do in the late 70s is show it, make it very clear. Because when you wore it, at least you knew, I mean, it wasn't good enough for me to be rebelling and knowing that I was rebelling. I mean, if I couldn't upset the apple cart, then what good was it to rebel? And in terms of sex and drugs and rock and roll, I mean, the whole country was stoned in 1979, so why not? The people that are willing to go to the edge, why wouldn't they be shooting heroin? It makes sense to me. Well, that's what was happening. Now, there's always a leader. There's always somebody to follow. There was the Elvis that kind of like, you know, made that happen. And there was Mick Jagger who made that happen. And then there were the Beatles. You know, they all made different things happen, but they were leaders. They were cultural icons. And along came this guy, Johnny Thunders, at Max's Kansas City. And he was the leader of that pack.
You're not going to be able to...
Sound great.
All I need on this background vocal is this one part where I just need... Just goes, woo. Maybe this is it. That's it, right?
Well, Johnny spoke the language of the kids that were rebelling. I mean, on the street. Same language. He was living it with them.
How many shows do you think you've seen?
How many shows have I seen Johnny Thunders play? I'd have to just take a wild guess and say upwards of 500 to 1,000 shows between all the different bands he's been in. Every morning when I arise, every night when I rest my head, I wish upon a star struck by lightning. I can't believe my superhero is dead. I wish you were here with me. I wish that you were in my band. I wish that you could see the way I wanna take you by the hand and pull you up on the stage now. Or get a wild boy and belt out a tune. I wish you'd write another page now. Your saga ended way too soon. Well, I wait and I pray, investigate, and then I take the pain. It really hurts. I go insane. Love comes in spurts every morning when I awake. Every night when I rest like a soldier, I wish upon a star. It sounds like fun.
You know, I'll tell you something. A lot of kids saw Johnny and knew that they were never going to stick a needle in their arm because he was a mess. And a lot of kids did stick a needle in their arm.
It was late 77. I read in the music press that the Heartbreakers had broken up and that Johnny wanted an American drummer, which disappointed me because I wanted to audition. So anyway, it came to Christmas and there was a party and I was sitting at a table and I suddenly found out I was sitting next to Johnny. So he said hi and that, and I said that I'd intended to audition for him, but he was looking for an American drummer. So he gave me his phone number and said, check me out. So the next thing I know, I'm hanging around at Johnny's place on Oakley Street in Chelsea, and I met his wife, Julie, his wife at the time, and their son, Vito, had just been born. He was about this big. So off we went to Paris, and a guy called Octavio, a friend of Johnny's, ended up on bass. So there was Henry Paul on guitar and me on drums. Wow, it was a crazy time. I went into Johnny's hotel room one afternoon. and lights were down, scarves over the lights. It was a very kind of druggy sort of atmosphere in the room. Johnny asked me if I wanted to try some, and I was kind of excited, and I did. I wanted to feel what it was like, and so I said yeah. And, he basically prepared it all, and so like he handed me to do it, and I said, well, I'd never done it before, so he shot me up. And, as he was doing it, he said that everyone who had ever played with him became junkies.
Our tour in Switzerland, that must have been spring '84. Johnny had kind of OD'd, and he was in a very bad medical state. He had fallen asleep in a very uncomfortable position, so that he had squeezed the nerves of his lower body, so his legs were not moving anymore, and he was unconscious. So we immediately brought him to the hospital, a very good hospital in Geneva, and then the next day was a concert at a club called Totentanz, which means dance of death. So this was obviously a very bad omen and a bad joke. And what we did is, like, the band went there with Henri to play as Johnny, because they looked a little bit like. I said to him, just don't open your mouth, just play, don't say anything with your French accent. So they actually made this concert, and I stayed, and I didn't go near to this club.
Mon habitant le vient, mais lui le 18e. Sa côté bon, il venait.
Yeah, he was coming.
Il venait et il m'aimait bien, puisque moi, à chaque fois qu'il avait...
Every time he was coming with, flowers or
oui, toujours.
Things, chocolate,
des petits mots.
Or letters.
Il me fait des cadeaux, comme le fils, les photos là, toutes les photos que j'ai. Hein? Il m'a fait cadeau même ça pour moi, mais comme j'ai grossi, comme j'ai grossi, il m'a fait cadeau ça. Que c'est un
he borrowed money from my mother, but he always give it back.
Et ça, qui mettait sur scène, il me l'a donné. Alors tout ça.
Johnny gave it to my mother.
Il give me Johnny présent. Oui, oui, il m'a fait des cadeaux et des petits shorts avec Johnny Thunder, que c'est toi qui l'as. Hein?
Ah, mais c'est vrai.
Bon, le grand, il m'a fait beaucoup de petits présents, même des colliers et tout ça. Que bon, je sais pas où ça.
Il faut savoir anglais, il faut parler.
Oui, I don't speak very good English. My son, Henri Paul, he speak for me.
Yeah, speak for me.
Yes. Oui, si tu dis.
I don't speak really good. I'm sorry.
So, tell me, how was it to live with Johnny? How was it to live together with Johnny?
Ouais, comment? Non, attends. Let's serious. Ouais. Comment ça s'est passé? Voilà, bon, vivre avec Johnny, tu l'as vécu?
Oui.
Comment c'était?
Ah ben oui, bien sûr, il a eu des hauts et des bas.
Voilà, c'est ça qu'il veut savoir.
Yes,
he had good and bad.
Yes, he's good. Even
dis-le, yeah, she will tell you in French and translate.
Okay, so tell me the story. Tell me the story that happened. Okay? Tell me a specific story that happened. Okay.
Un truc qui s'est passé.
Voilà.
Bon. Un truc qui s'est passé.
Oui. Ben voilà. Un jour, il venait plusieurs fois à la maison. Bon, un jour, bon, il est venu. Il come back à la, il est venu à la maison et il avait vendu pas mal de petites choses. Il m'avait donné tout l'argent à garder. Il give me money for him. Bon, je l'ai gardé longtemps, peut-être 3-4 heures. Il est revenu, il me l'a donné à 3 o'clock. Il give me money 600 000 au moins. 600 000, hein. Et 3 hours 3 heures plus tard, he come back, Mama, give me money because I have need money, give me. Alors, je lui ai donné tout l'argent qu'il m'avait donné, je lui ai donné. Et il s'achetait pour se piquer. You know,
ok, bon. D'accord, je te demande, qu'est-ce qu'il y a à la maison?
Eh ben, il venait, et il dormait dans ta chambre, dans ma room.
Dans ma chambre, dans ta chambre à toi, nous on dormait.
Voilà, moi je dormais.
We were sleeping together, me and Johnny, in
et moi je dormais dans ta chambre.
And she was sleeping in my room. Because my mother was giving the money for Johnny, and he was coming, Mama, I gotta take money, so.
Je lui ai donné tout l'argent. I give all money he give me, I give to him. Et il allait acheter de la cocaïne ou je sais pas pour se piquer, je sais pas quoi. La cam, bon. Et il venait à la maison et il se couchait, mais il dormait pas toute la nuit. Il don't sleep. Il go to chicken, la cuisine, c'est chicken. Kitchen, la cuisine. Il come back room all night. Et Henri Paul, Johnny.
I got mad with him. You were out.
Reste tranquille, comment tu disais
keep cool.
Ouais, j'entendais ça, oui, tu disais voilà.
Stop,
et alors, moi, j'écoutais. Hein? Et je tendais, et alors, toi tu disais, non, tu fais pas ça. Le lendemain, bon, ça il disait, tu as raison, Henri-Paul, pense ça va, je fais pas.
He was saying, yeah, you're right, Henri.
Et alors lui, après il a eu honte. Il a eu honte. Shame, you know, because he's toute la. Il voyait, il see him, I know.
So, it was a shame about what we did, you know, for a few days, like shooting up, you know, taking all the money. Taking the job, shutting up, and everything. It was a shame.
Quand il a commencé à jouer, voilà, tu l'as connu en Angleterre.
No, these things you just, I did a lot of work with him, and I didn't have any money.
Tu vois, là, il y a tous. Richard, il y a tous, mais il n'y a pas.
I freaking lost my health, and where I am now, I don't have any money, but I don't get any money from it. I wrote songs, I did some things. I don't did that much maybe, but I did the thing I did it with my heart. I mean, for me, I respect Johnny.
Bien sûr, bien sûr, mais tu vois
in a way, he didn't respect me.
He would, it sounds pretty intense, but he'd shoot all night. There'd be blood left all over the walls, all over every single space in the bathroom. There'd be so much blood you could almost not imagine the room being white again. Then he would have a bath. Then he would jump into bed.
This is a story about girls who need them in this world. Here I am, and all dressed up to kill.
He would just be so exquisitely slow and delicate and loving, and God, I can't even explain it. It's like so, oh, he's amazing.
Here I am with the game. I don't care where you are, but I'd much rather be with the boys than be with you.
And he'd make love to me for hours, and I couldn't believe that he could go on and on and on after he got totally whacked out.
I hold my head up tight when I walk down the street. Now I'm a boy who's standing on his own 2 feet. Don't try to call me, 'cause now I know the score. And now I know I don't need no blondes no more.
I mean, he's so... I mean, when you think about a man who's done that much drugs, and you think that, my God, they can't make love to anyone. He was just like, he knocked me out, he blew me away. He was like, just unbelievable.
Here I am with the cats. I don't care, they're all brats, but I'd much rather be with the boys than be with you.
As lover, he's perfect. And I'll never, ever, ever forget that. And I know he knows that. I know he's thinking about that in heaven as he speaks. I'm sure he's perfect with lots of people, but I don't even want to think about that.
Here I am with the gang. I don't care where you are, but I'd much rather be with the boys than be.
With somebody he loved, of course, he was exquisite. Anyways, I know he was with me. But I don't want to be like come across, I mean, like I'm a lady and I've never ever been like, oh yeah, and he was like,
yes, I'm much rather be with the boy. No, I'm much rather be with the boy.
Sounds stupid, but, and that's why Johnny loved me so much, because I wasn't like some like slut pig from hell.
And girls like,
you know, I was never that way. And I always had class and I was always a lady, and so he loved that. It sounds kind of strange to talk about us making love together, but if I do it in the proper way, it sounds fine. Yeah.
You bitch.
Hey, John. I cut my bitch's head off on my tattoo. She got wise. Boy, how fucking, what do you got there, pizza? This one's called So Alone. This is a very intelligent statement. It says, junk kills, speed lives.
He did this show at the Mud Club, and then he finished the set, and there's the long stairway going up to the dressing room. He gets up, and there's all of the Burning Spears entourage there, so there's like 20 dreads all hanging around. He finishes the set, he comes up to the dressing room and goes, "What are all these fucking niggers doing in here?" And all you heard was like switchblades opening up.
On tour in Japan, and he was like, all of us were completely straight because there was nothing, there's no smoke, well, we got a bit of smoke in the end, but you know, Japan, you couldn't get hold of any skag, and that was musically the best stuff we did. So you know, it's like big building with a wooden stage, no lights, I mean just bare essentials and everything, you know. So we're there, and we went into the first song and we finished, and it was just complete silence. I mean, just total silence, right? And these kids were just sitting there looking at us, and we were just sitting on the stage looking at the kids. And like, Johnny was cool, you know, all right, this is new for them. So we went into the second number, and like, you know, whoa, put the heart and soul into this one, and we're kicking it. We finish. Complete silence, not a sound, nobody's clapping, nobody ain't doing nothing, man. So we thought, right, into the third number now. By now, we're sort of, it's like a cartoon. I mean, we're trying so hard, right? We're really trying hard now, and we're just like, ah! And we finished that. Complete silence. And that's the first time I saw Johnny lose his nerve on stage. He lost his nerve. He didn't know what to do. And all I can remember was being sitting on this stage, this big stage, feeling really isolated, and Johnny looked so lonely up front. He just looked so lonely and lost. This little guy, you know, little skinny Johnny Thunders there with the microphone, man, and his guitar, and all these punters just looking at him, and him thinking, well, what can I do? And he just went, yeah, like real despondent, yeah. And someone in the audience went, yeah, and he went, yeah. And they went, yeah, and next minute, the whole place just exploded, man. It was like, bah! From being totally quiet, it was the complete opposite. Just the complete opposite, and they went completely wild.
He just gave me faith in life, you know. Seeing him play and live and react just made me so happy and made me feel so strong. He had such an energy. Johnny, and he was so delicate and subtle in his feelings, and that's the only. We'll have to be happy what he left us. Je t'aime, Tina. I like you. I love you. And you like to love me, if you want to. Well, I'll give it a thought. If it's possible, yeah. Tout est possible. Je t'aime, Tina. Possible? Tout est possible. Is it possible to love? But a lot of time he really tried to be clean. I love you. Is it enough? You know, we're not talking about the same things actually. It's the first time for you? A girl love you?
And he came to stay with me at my hotel, tied me up completely. And then he let me tie him up. He let me tie him up completely. It was crazy. We had the wildest time. And he's really in this heavy eye. And he's never ever let me do that before, which is really funny. He totally let me dominate him that whole time we were back together in London.
Look at that. Look at that suck action. I think I'm going to put you out on 8th Avenue. That's what I think. Wouldn't you like to be out there just sucking dick, making money for your mistress? You bet you would. Maybe I'll think of a special little sex job for you in the daytime. Just pretend that heel's a big fat dick. Just pretend that. And maybe if you're good next time, I'll bring a dildo in and let you try out. I think you're just about ready for 8th Avenue. He thought the world owed him a living. I'm sure there's people that say nice things about him, but as a musician he was brilliant, but he was an asshole as a person. He ripped off his own good friends, for Christ's sakes. Ashtray.
One time we were playing the show and the place was fucking packed. I mean, they were lined up. We were into a percentage, we were going to make a pile of money. This was about the time of the Ayatollah and all that, and Johnny would get in his pretend political rant, like he actually understood what was happening in world politics or something.
This is dedicated to, the set is dedicated to Yasser Arafat. He's gonna move to Queens, I heard.
And we're using the club's office as a dressing room. Johnny's in there in the drawer, and he's stealing the club's money. And I said, oh no, man. I said, let's get the fuck out of here right now. So we pack up all our shit, and Johnny's got his pockets full of coins, of quarters and shit, and he's trying to dump them everywhere, and he's spilling quarters left and right. The shit's falling, he's got holes in his pockets, and the money's falling out. He gives my girlfriend a big stack of bills, and she goes, what do I do? And I said, get rid of the fucking money. So she goes in the ladies' room and stuffs it all behind the toilet or something. And then the cops come out and separate us all and start asking us, where's the money? And the guys are going through the office, and they're going through the desks and all that. They're adding up. The money's gone. The club's receipts are gone. And at this point, I would have kicked his little Italian ass up and down the street. I mean, the night couldn't have went better. And here he was robbing the fucking club.
I was raised in the street. A city boy, hit me on please.
I was raised in the streets. You don't
City
want to answer a question, please? You don't want. I love you. You don't want to know if you. No. You don't want to do.
What else do you have on your list?
Just bad stuff. The Dolores, he ripped off the guitar. Oh.
Ever since his girlfriend left him for a college student in Michigan, he's been sucking shit. Yeah, can't take it, huh, Johnny? Give me your shit.
came by within 3 days of leaving for New Orleans. He came by because he knows I like to smoke herb, and I always have herb. And he wanted to smoke a joint, so I gave him a joint. And that was about 3 days before he took off for New Orleans. And what's weird is he had just landed big contracts with some German studio, and landed another deal with Japanese, and he was gonna make it. So I don't know what went on down there in New Orleans, but it weren't good. I think there's foul play afoot, Watson.
Born to lose, born to lose.
That's the way it goes. The city is so cold. I'm so stoned. That's why I know. I said, born to lose, born to lose.
Oh, baby, I'm born to lose. Nothing to do, nothing to say.
Only one thing that I want. It's the only way. Born to lose.
Baby, I'm born to lose. Baby, I'm born to lose.
Living in the jungle. Eat out your heart. Living in this city. Eat out your heart. Born to lose. Oh, baby, you're born to lose.
Baby, I'm born to lose. Born to lose. I'm born to lose. I'm born to lose. I'm born to lose.
He called me up to wish me happy birthday, and told me he was going to New Orleans. And I had his clothes here. That Danny was going to bring his clothes, and I was supposed to wash them and iron them and get them all ready. And then the day that Danny and Stevie was supposed to go to New Orleans, we were together that day. We went to the flea market with Mary Ann.
Yeah.
And when I came home, I had all the clothes washed. I had them all packed and all ironed. And the doorbell rings, and it was Mary Ann. I said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Danny's supposed to come for Johnny's clothes." And she said, "Johnny died." So.
I don't know. He just looks so bad. I just wish I could have helped him somehow. And that he wasn't alone when he died.
So, next thing I know is a couple days later, I hear that he died, half a block from my house. So I start to get massive phone calls from people saying, what the fuck do you know about this, Danny? We know that's a half a block from your house. We know you know him. Who did it? I don't know.
I was working at the time, standing at the bar and looking out that window, and apparently, I guess he must have been staying in the corner room, because that's where they brought his body out of, downstairs on the corner. And there were several people standing around, and they brought the body out in a body bag. So I didn't actually see the body itself. But.
And you mentioned some of the characters that were with Johnny or around Johnny.
Oh, neighborhood street hustlers. Things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What happened?
The one of them with the blondish hair showed up, I believe, the next day, wearing his hat, the same leopard skin hat he had on that morning that he came in here.
Thing with the hat, it may make the police think there was something more happening than there was. What happened was, actually, I don't even want to put this on film, man. Really? Because it's dangerous.
I'm not saying that he killed himself. I'm not saying that he wasn't killed.
There was a red like me.
I had my suppliers. I partied with him that day. What happened after that, I honestly don't know.
But no telling what'll happen, No telling what happened in that area. Because that little whole square right there is nothing but violence, nothing but prostitution, nothing but drugs. And a junkie, typical, for $1, they'll probably do anything. If a whore, excuse the expression, gets a blowjob for $5, then you'll know what somebody will do for cocaine.
Why? Why would somebody want to murder him? I mean...
just, you know, tried to think about like his whole life and what he stood for and what I had become and been through as a result of like knowing him and experiencing some of that energy. And I just said a prayer and I just thanked him. I thanked him. Because if there wasn't a Johnny Thunders and people like him, there would never, I would never, you know, there would never be anyone like me. I would have never had the courage, you know, to just be myself. You know.
He lost. I don't think he'll ever be forgotten.
If I call him a loser, that makes me a loser. I don't feel like a loser.
If you want to leave, you can be stupid as you want. We'll be back.